Increase your reach on the tennis court with the Yonex EZONE 100 Plus 2025. The 27.5-inch extended length EZONE 100 Plus gets a new material update called Minolon in this 8th generation. The ultra-thin and flexible fibers were added to the shaft to dampen harsh vibrations for a comfortable plush feel. The racket is loaded with power and stability thanks to a thickening of the beam in the upper hoop. Tried and true technologies like an isometric head shape and 2G NAM speed material remain in the frame, making it a perfect weapon for big ball strikers looking to take their game to the next level. I really love the EZONE line of rackets, and extended length rackets are always fun for me to try out. Now, the first thing I noticed was I had an adjustment period, which I expected, and that included getting my timing down on my backhand as well as the launch angle. When I first started, the ball was launching well past the baseline, and then when I tried to make an adjustment, I was finding I was hitting too short, so it took me a while to find that sweet spot of getting it nice and deep in the court. Now, from the baseline, this racket offers really heavy power, so I was really able to hit a heavy ball. The ball was landing deep and kicking up, so that spin potential when I was driving through the ball was great. Now, when it came to rolling my shots, and I love to hit kind of a rolled or sharp angle, I struggled a little bit to get my wrist to rotate, but on slices, I really liked how I could knife the ball and keep the ball nice and low, and I actually found myself hitting more slices than normal. And when I was playing points, I found myself just really staying smooth and keeping my ground strokes really smooth and aiming for big targets. Now, when I approached the net, I found that I really loved that extra reach. I was getting a couple extra balls back, and I enjoyed that stability. I just really had to make sure I got that racket into position early. And with serves, like with most extended length rackets, I really loved it on first serve. I was getting great power, that my ball was landing deep in the service box, and I was getting some free points as well. But with second serves, I really had to be conscious as I was missing, as a match would go on, I would be missing it a little bit more than normal, as I was having trouble getting my arm up and over my head and creating that spin to drop it into the service box. Overall, I really loved playing doubles with this racket, but I think I'm gonna stick with my standard length.
I'm a big fan of plus length rackets and immediately found the groove with this EZONE 100 Plus. I really enjoyed the power it brought to all of my ground strokes, and especially my serves. Felt like I was getting more pace, more spin than I usually get from a standard length racket. From the baseline, I loved my backhand slice. Felt like I could flick my wrist and go either down the line or cross court with that shot and get a really dirty, nice knifing slice out of this racket. And then on the topspin shot too, it was plenty maneuverable enough for me to get the tip through quickly, generate the spin and direction I wanted to get on the ball. The one area I had trouble with this racket at the baseline was if I was caught just inside the baseline or right on top of the baseline in the middle of a point and the ball was hit quickly and deeply at my feet, I struggled to dig it out with a topspin shot. Conversely, when I was coming into net and I got those low sort of shoelace volleys, I love this racket. When I spend a little bit of slice on the ball or just looking to dig out a low volley, this racket worked exceptionally well in that area. And then when the ball was up a little bit higher, the put away power was phenomenal. I could really get the ball away quickly. Racket felt very comfortable too. That translated well on return. So even if my timing was a little off, I thought the sweet spot was nice and forgiving. The racket felt forgiving as well. And so I was getting, felt like a good size sweet spot out of this one and could just redirect the ball, use that incoming pace from the serve. So really fun play test for me, and then just enjoyed the extra spin and pace I got out of this racket.
I have a soft spot in my heart for extended length rackets, so I was really looking forward to getting on court with the EZONE 100 Plus. And I was rewarded with what I really like from those extended rackets is that power. There is easy power, and it did take me a little bit of time to adjust to it. Initially, I was hitting the ball quite long. I do hit a flatter ball. So I was being more conscious of adding some topspin to get that ball to fall inside the baseline rather than past it. But I did really like it, especially when I was pushed back, and if I had time, I could really get that depth to get me in a better court position so I wasn't such in a defensive position off the baseline. I heard Chris mention that he struggled with those balls close to the baseline if they were near his feet. Likewise, if I was hitting a shot that was a nice heavy slice and it kicked up into me, I really did struggle to get this racket around in time, and I did need to adjust a little bit. And I felt like if I just kind of blocked the ball back, I was much more successful. At net, I really enjoyed the stability of this racket. I felt the feel was also very nice. I did struggle if the volleys went in to more than a couple volleys. The racket isn't quite as maneuverable as I like at net, so at net I do prefer the standard length E-zone just because I feel like it's a lot more agile for those reaction volleys. On serve, if I could get it over my head and swinging, I was really rewarded with some added power, so I really enjoyed it there. Overall, for me, I think it's a bit of an adjustment to go from a standard length racket to this E-zone 100 Plus, but it is a lot of fun. It offers great power, great stability, and feel.
I feel like this racket shares that same great plush feel as the standard E-zone 100, but performance-wise, everything else seems to be just cranked up a notch. From the baseline, I felt like this racket was just a little bit too sluggish for me. It just doesn't have that maneuverability that I look for in a racket. I did find that I was just catching the ball late more often with this racket, but when I did have time to set up and really get a hold of one, there was definitely a lot of power there. I felt like I was hitting a lot more winners with this racket, but at the same time I was hitting a lot more errors. I felt like I definitely needed to add that top spin to get my rackets to get my shots to dip into the court. But up at net, I didn't find that sluggishness to be as bad because of that more compact stroke. I just found like this racket to be really nice, solid, and stable there, probably thanks in large part to that mid 330 swing weight. Now on serve, like Brittany mentioned, I really enjoyed it on my first serve, gave me a lot more pop on my serves, but on my second I just found it that I was missing long with it. I just couldn't accelerate the racket through contact and getting that ball to dip into the court. But overall, I think if you're a player that's looking to add a bit more firepower to your game and you don't mind that higher swing weight, then this is definitely a racket for you. We strung up the new Yonex EZONE 100 Plus with Poly Tour Drive at 52 pounds. For more information on this racket or anything else tennis related, make sure you go to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.